Hey everyone, Kevin here, and welcome back to my channel. So last week I talked about the forever layoff culture we developed over the last year or so. But while recording that episode, I realized nearly 2 years have passed since I made my video on how the ID job market sucks. And with all of the developments since, I thought the time right to revisit why it still does, and how our industry is actually representative of the labor market as a whole, since literally no one can find work right now. And to that end, we need to ask ourselves, do entry level jobs even exist anymore? And well, the answer is a little complicated because though the term still exists and always will, the reality is that the traditional understanding of the term is fading away, and for good and bad reasons. Though personally, I am deeply skeptical of how groundbreaking AI is at this stage in its development, and really do criticize companies for embracing it to such a degree that they're causing the forever layoff culture I've talked about to save money and speed up processes. We have to understand, though, we are nonetheless in an AI revolution of sorts that can't be denied by anyone. And it's been going on for a lot longer than most people have even noticed. I mean, we've all been implementing AI tools and devices into our workflows or homes for years now, and no one's had an issue with that until it started being seen as a way to take away our jobs and turn them over to automation. For instance, I've got multiple Amazon Alexas around my house that run and manage my lights and other things. I use AI eye tracking and subtitle software when I make these videos. And we all have some version of ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, or an AI app on our phones and computers. None of this is new, and we've gone through several instances of changing workforce dynamics like this throughout history, all the way from the agricultural and industrial revolutions to the digital age when computers first started to be used by companies and consumers. All during those years, our definitions of labor changed from the vast majority of people working on farms to urbanizing and moving into factories to mass produce products, including child labor to save money, to eventually introducing computers and the World Wide Web, which democratized information to the masses. An example of this transformation I always love to cite because most people these days have no idea the job ever existed is switchboard operators. And these operators, who were generally women, used to manually connect calls to who you needed to talk to and served an incredibly important purpose, keeping people in contact with loved ones around the world and helping you get needed information. But those jobs slowly disappeared and were replaced by computers beginning in the 1950s. Sound familiar, huh? And heck, the last one only closed here in California back in 1991. Now, though, that job doesn't even exist anymore because your cell phone has a built in address book and internet capability that lets you connect or find the person you want to talk to on your own. Heck, operators at any company in general are extremely rare these days, since even most of 1 800 numbers are entirely computerized now. So, reaching a real person is a labor in and of itself, and I'm sure we've all had to deal with those annoying phone trees to get to a real person. So today, AI is doing the same thing to entry level jobs, replacing them. And that's why they're rapidly disappearing because companies are using it to automate tasks that used to be done by a human being, like research, drafting, and basic analysis, just like those switchboard operators I mentioned. And this is also why we are ending up with the catch 22 scenario, where companies are asking for 1 to 3 years of prior experience for what they are calling entry level roles or internships, even though the point of entry level is that you go in starting with no knowledge in order to gain those years of experience. And like I said in that video a couple of years ago now, companies aren't hiring what we used to call entry level anymore. And it's one of the reasons why the ID job market is so oversaturated with underqualified IDs who lack meaningful skills and can't find the work needed to get them. Instead, companies are mainly hiring for senior level roles and automating those junior level ones entirely to save money. It's the same reason why college is no longer being seen as the gateway to success that it used to be, since new graduates can't find work since there are no entry level jobs, and thus they can't pay off the massive loans they took to finish their degrees, and end up in financial hardship for years to come. It's also the same reason why this generation is becoming the tool belt generation and are focusing more on blue collar trade work rather than the traditional white collar jobs people have been pursuing for decades since the beginning of the digital age when those skills became more important. I'm just actually connecting multiple different videos I've made over the years now that I think about it. But anyway, what automation and AI is forcing people to do is take on free projects or learning opportunities just to slightly stand out instead of relying on their degrees to secure their first jobs like they used to. In essence, we have a skills gap or experience creep between what we think entry level is versus what it actually is now, which really is what we used to call mid level experience. And this is why I tell newer IDs that a portfolio is absolutely necessary now, even when many senior level people continually say it isn't, because they aren't the ones who've been impacted by the changes in the job market and don't know what it's really like today. Companies are prioritizing things like portfolios to see what skills you actually have and to show them what you are physically capable of doing if they hired you. That or using tests or trial projects to see what you can do, but that's a whole other can of worms that I've already talked about before, too. To put this in perspective, when we interviewed for a new ID role on our team, we received, I think, between 600 and 800 applications, but only interviewed about 10 people since most didn't read the job description, didn't have the skills we asked for, and most importantly, they never submitted a portfolio for us to review. It is mandatory now across many industries as the definition of entry level is changing, and we have no other choice but to change with it or risk being left behind and unable to find work. So get on that portfolio and keep that in mind. Well, guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you aren't subscribed yet, please do so. Every person and view helps the channel grow, and you'll get notified whenever I post something new on top of that. But for now, I've been Kevin, and I will see you in the next video.